Hi there. So we've got a wonderful Burgundy to taste this evening. Domaine Glantenay Pommard from the 2016 vintage. So Burgundy, first of all, is the spiritual home of Pinot Noir as a red grape variety and Chardonnay as a white grape variety. Obviously, as you'll see, this is a red, so this is the Pinot Noir. And the grape variety here reflects the terroir and the climate like nowhere else in the world. The wines from this particular region achieve ridiculous prices, quite honestly, globally, because the demand is so high on them. They produce such intriguing, ethereal, exotic wines sometimes. You can get a lot of top wines, like obviously your Romani Contis and your Dujacs and things like that. You can get a lot of bog standard Burgundy and pay a lot of money for it. It can be a little bit frustrating of a region where it's one of those ones you can spend quite a bit of money on and sort of be a bit disappointed maybe in what you get. But don't let that put you off. When you get a really good one, there's nothing will touch them in the world. They are beautiful. They're super wines. So, Domaine Glantenay from the Pommard area. So Pommard is one of the communes. Now Burgundy is a very fractured area, all down to the Napoleonic law of succession. First of all, in terms of vineyard ownerships. So if I was a vineyard owner of 1 hectare and I had 2 children, it must be divided 50-50. So it went half a hectare each. And if they had kids, then it was split evenly. And if they had kids, it was split evenly. So it all became that vineyards got broke down into like rows of vines, half rows of vines, not really enough to sustain a winemaker or a family or that in the industry. So what often happened in the sort of dynamic of the Burgundy was some of the bigger landowners, called negociants, would have bought grapes from the smaller producers and turned them into their own label. So a good example of a good negociant would be Jadot, for example, Bouchard being another. So there's lots of big negociants around Burgundy. Boisset is another. But over the last sort of 10-15 years, with the interest and quality as well that's gone into the Burgundy wines now, there's been a great interest in Domaine bottled Burgundies and small production Burgundies. So this is where the likes of Domaine Glantenay comes in now, where maybe in previous generations, this is a 6th generation winemaking family. In previous generations, they might have grown their grapes and then sold them to a negociant under their label. Today, the prices are such in Burgundy that it's economic for them to run what is an 8 hectare estate, which is not big by anybody's imagination, and run it profitably as a business and make money out of it and produce quality that sustains the price as well. So Pommard, as one of the communes, is in the Côte de Beaune. So there's several key regions, if you like, of Burgundy. So at the very north you've got Chablis. Below that then you have what's called the Côte d'Or, which is split in two, and the northern part is the Côte de Nuits. The southern part is the Côte de Beaune, which is where this is from. And this is from just below. This is then separated again into another differentiation. So you've got your Côte de Beaune, on top of that is Côte de Beaune itself. And then you've got Pommard, and below that is Volnay. So Pommard and Volnay will often be talked about together. Below that then you've got your white wine territory of sort of the Meursaults and the Poligny-Montrachets and Chassagne-Montrachets. And then you go further south and you go into the new sort of region of Côte Chalonnaise and the Mâconnais, and then into Beaujolais. So from Beaujolais to Chablis, that's your Burgundy region as such. And it's all broken down. So when you go into the Pommard commune, if you like, then it separates down again into Premier Cru and village level wines. This is particularly a village level wine. So if it's a Premier Cru wine, it'll say it on the label, it'll have the name of the vineyard on the bottle as well. And then when you get into other communes such as Vosne Romani, you can go into like Grand Cru vineyards. So it'll say Grand Cru typically, and it'll be say La Romani or Romani Saint Vivant or Richebourg or La Tâche from Romani Conti. So you get some really exclusive exotic wines coming out of there. So what is the big appeal of these wines? I guess they reflect exactly where they come from. They reflect the vineyard, the conditions of the weather as well, and they change very dramatically from one year to the next often. So they're very susceptible to weather conditions. And 2016 was a particularly difficult vintage for the Burgundy, where they had early frosts in April, and that ruined a lot of the crop to start with. So they didn't get the bud, so there wasn't any grapes. And then as they started to flower and progress, there was a lot of hail, so that killed a lot of the vines as well. Not the vines, but the grapes and the buds. So that meant that the crop produced even more. So after the hail in 16, then they had good weather conditions. So what was left produced really good quality, but it was a very small harvest. So with that, then obviously you have probably higher prices as a consequence, because there's low demand, low volume, and very high demand. So one interesting thing as well, going back to the sort of the communes and the vineyards and stuff of Burgundy, compared to say Bordeaux. So if you're sitting in Château Lafite and you buy in Bordeaux and you buy the property next door, well, you can extend your vineyard around that and also call it Château Lafite. So that was what was maybe a fifth growth, all of a sudden becomes a first growth, because the property, the Château Lafite owns it. In Burgundy, you can't do that. It's all very much delineated and designed and organised by plots of land, because the soil structures vary so much from one to the next, and there's subtle differences which mark the wines out as being different. So what is one Premier Cru in Pommard, for example, you can't buy the next one and call it the same, or vice versa. You can't make a Grand Cru, turn a Premier Cru vineyard site into a Grand Cru. So it's a very complex area to get your head around, and that's what kind of puts some people off quite a bit of it. But persevere with it and taste the wines, and you'll be beguiled by them, I must say. Like, they're fantastic wines. So this Domaine Glantenay is run now by Guillaume Glantenay. He's the sixth generation, as I said earlier on, of the family who have been growing wines in Burgundy. So a lot of history to these wines, a lot of know-how and knowledge going through the generations. They're all gone into like organic viticulture and biodynamic viticulture now, like a lot of the Burgundy, and that comes through in the actual finished wines. So this one here, 2016, as I said, it was a small vintage. It was handled very gently, all hand harvested, all hand treated in the vineyard. They ferment in stainless steel, and then about 20% sees new oak. So the result is a wine which, you know, it's not a very thin, lightly coloured Pinot Noir. It has, you know, lighter to medium bodied, I suppose, colour wise. Beautiful aromatics. Now, typically, when you taste Pommard and Volnay side by side, they'll often say Volnay is the feminine and Pommard's the masculine, because Pommard tends to be a bit more mute, a bit tighter on the tannins. Volnay is a lot more expressive and floral. But initially on the nose of this here, it's a lot more expressive, really quite fragrant. Lovely cherry fruit, slightly floral tones. A little bit of crushed rock going on in there. Slight sort of coffee tones almost, which is probably coming from your new oak. And the winemaker here has chosen a low toast oak, which is designed to sort of enhance rather than overpower the actual fruit itself, because we really want the fruit to speak and sort of show you where it's from, I suppose. You certainly get a bit of grip with the tannin. That's with sort of masculinity, I suppose, of Pommard's coming in. This is a wine which will suit really. I had this with some duck earlier on, and it was superb. It worked really well. The tannins just worked really well with the meat protein, and it just was silky smooth in the mouth. They're not sort of wines you probably want to sit and drink by themselves, but with food, they are just beautiful. The fruit on the palate comes through as that sort of soft red fruit. It has that sort of slightly creamy note coming through from the oak, and there's a lovely lingering finish. You'll see that I've put this in a decanter as well, which is always a great thing to do if you have one. If you haven't got one, a water jug, I suppose, will do the same job. Pour your wine into your decanter and let it breathe for a few hours before enjoying it with your dinner or whatever, because it really makes a massive difference to the actual finished product and the enjoyment of the whole thing. I'm chopping and changing from topic to topic here, but they're just exciting wines these here, and there's so much to talk about Burgundy, about the region, the varieties, the styles of wines. They're a really intriguing, interesting area that there's so much going on, there's so much to know. You'll never know it all. It's a real patchwork of a place, but producing some exceptional wines. Domaine Glantenay's Pommard is a beautiful wine, I must say. I thought it was really, really good. And if you're going to have something like a duck, or you're going to have something like a roast of some sort, but don't put too much of a powerful sauce with it, these wines will really sing and show themselves off. Beautiful, beautiful wines. So yeah, again, Burgundy, they're never going to be cheap, so you're not going to get a lot of change out of probably 50 quid for this, but it's super bottle of wine, should I say. And you want to try a really nice bottle of Burgundy, Domaine Glantenay, you'll not go far wrong. So yeah, enjoy. If you're fortunate enough to try it, or buy it off us, of course, you'll be able to try it. At KWMY.com, please reduce matters. Cheers.